48% of business people don't follow up more than once. 80% of business is earned after 5 or more follow-ups. If today's episode sparks any new ideas in you, please hit follow and leave a quick review for me. So I read every single one, and it helps us to get more eyes on all this great conversation we're having. On to the episode. Welcome, my friends, to another episode of Purpose-Driven Progress. I'm your host, Jacob Hicks, success coach, sales coach, and speaker. And guys, I'm really excited to be back. We had a bit of a hiatus here in April. Had to just get some things figured out. And the first season was really awesome. I met some incredible people, as my listeners know, and it's been really great. And I'm just stoked to be back. So we're going to be talking through some sales stuff today. And I'm really excited about it because I've been getting a lot of questions on Instagram and on TikTok and just kind of all over the place around just kind of sales conversations. Because if you're a business owner out there, you're probably saying some similar things where you're saying, I've got to sell, right? I need people to buy my stuff. I need them to buy my products, my services, whatever it is that you're moving, right? But I don't want to be a salesperson. And I tell you, it's a super common thing. People often think of salespeople as like the used car salesman, right? Like that stereotypical, like you go in there just to ask some questions or maybe to test drive a car you think you might want to buy. And they're just hard selling you the whole time. It's like, hey, do you want to buy this? You want to buy this? A lot of times we'll get we'll get the 1 to 10 close. Maybe you guys have had this before where they say something like, okay, based on your experience with what we've talked about today or this car that we're trying out, where would you rank this car on 1 to 10? Oh, maybe I'll probably call this like an 8. Okay, what would this car have to get it to a 10? Yeah. I've been through that personally. It's not my favorite thing. I'm a sales guy. I appreciate somebody out there hustling and grinding and putting in the work and putting in the effort. But talk to me a little bit. Ask some questions. Figure out what makes sense. And that's why we're going to talk about some sales stuff today. Today, we are diving in with both feet into follow-up. And I know just from my experience that a lot of you out there listening, man, your face is tightened up a little bit. You kind of got a little bit squinty, right? Where you're just like, oh gosh, I have to follow up. What are you talking about? I don't want to be following up. Like, I just want people to buy stuff. A lot of times you can't have one without the other. So let me give you guys a few facts here. I was doing some research and preparing for this episode, but then also just for some clients that I'm working on. And actually, I've got a free gift for you guys at the end of the episode, so stick around for that. But let me run some facts by you guys really quick. Fun facts, I think, but ones that they're pretty serious, I'll say. So, fun fact number 1, 48% of business people don't follow up more than once. Let me read that again. 48% of business people don't follow up more than once. And that's people like us, like entrepreneurs, business owners, founders, salespeople even. And that is, frankly, it's awful. It's really unfortunate. Because that means that you're leaving a vast majority of your business, of your money, of your revenue, of your clients, of your connections on the table. You're saying, if I got to call you more than once, then you're probably not going to do business with me. No, who cares? It's no big deal. Let me give you another fact. 80% of business is earned after 5 or more follow-ups. 80%. That means that if you don't call somebody more than once or twice, you're leaving 4/5, if I'm doing my fractions correctly, on the table. You're leaving a majority of your business on the table. Now, here's the other one that a lot of people I feel like can get overlooked when we're talking about follow-up. 2% of business is earned in the first conversation. That means if you meet somebody at a networking event and you cold call them, however you're connecting with them, the 2% of the time, you're going to close them. That means that 98% of your business is left on the table if you expect to earn all of your money, all of your business, all of your clientele in that first connection. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not okay with that. I don't like leaving business on the table as much as I can help it. Now, there's going to be instances where you make mistakes or you forget to follow up or those kind of things. But a lot of this comes down to systems. What systems do you guys have in place? I've said it once, I've said it a million times. One of my favorite quotes is by James Clear from his book, Atomic Habits. It's we don't rise to our goals, we fall to our systems. Now, in this case, there's going to be when we're talking about follow-up especially, there's going to be a pretty wide variety of these various systems, meaning that what might work for me might not work for you as well, or it might not work at all. And when we're talking about different sales strategy and these kind of things, industry is going to really leverage a lot on what we're actually doing. Meaning, for example, if you are selling something that's $50, $100, $200, then your follow-up system may not need to be as rigorous as, say, if you're selling something for $100,000. And if you're selling that $200 item or that $200 service, you might need to follow up a little more frequently, meaning you're touching base every week or every other week. Whereas, somebody that's selling a larger ticket item, they might do something similar, or they might say, hey, I'm going to follow up with you in a month. I'm going to follow up with you at the end of the quarter. Like those kind of conversations. But really, at the bare roots, when we're talking about follow-up, what I really mean is, do you have a plan? Meaning, let's say you meet like your perfect client, your perfect customer out and about at a networking event or at the grocery store or whatever the case might be. You meet the perfect person. You know this person is ideal. This is exactly the kind of person that you love to work with. This is where you do the best work. You get their contact information, you guys hit it off, right? What is your next step? And that's really what we're talking about. Because so often, the reason that people don't follow up more than once, or people they lose 80% of their business, or their potential business, is because they don't have that plan in place. Meaning that, okay, you meet me, your perfect client, out and about, you get my contact information, whatever form that might be. What is your next step? What is the very next step? Meaning, okay, I met Jacob out. I'm going to call him tomorrow morning and see if we can set up a coffee, or I'm going to kick him an email, or we talked about X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to send him this resource that I know I've got. Those kind of things. So we just have to be intentional and have that plan. And today, you guys are going to walk out with at least the beginnings of a really strong plan to start building something that will allow you to close a lot more business and not leave 80% of it on the table. How's that sound? Does that sound good? Okay. When it comes to follow-up, like I said, in sales, there's a lot of legs to the stool, if you'll follow me here. Meaning that you can't just follow up and expect to earn a lot of business. You have to have the other things around it for it to all jive and work together. Okay? Now, the first part of this is we're going to talk about the actual plans themselves. Now, when I first start working with people and they're looking to generate a little more business and making sure their follow-up is a little bit stronger, I always recommend starting out with a couple of different strategies. The first is what I call a 10 by 10. Meaning that let's say you meet me, your perfect client, out at the grocery store, you get my contact information. Then for the next 10 weeks, you're going to reach out to me 10 times. Now, again, I can hear it. I can hear it out there. People are just like, oh gosh, I have to call this guy 10 times. What am I going to talk about? What do I say? What do I do? Why am I calling him 10 times? Follow-up is all about consistency, meaning that you want to make sure that you are following up consistently, but more importantly, you want to make sure that you're following up from a place of value. I'm going to say that again. You want to follow up from a place of value. Now, this means that we aren't going to be like those kind of salespeople, those super pushy ones that we've all engaged with at some point or another, where they call you every third day and say, hey, you want to buy my stuff? I still got my stuff. Do you want to buy my stuff now? We're not that guy, okay? We're not the guy in the park with the very sketchy trench coat, okay? We're not that dude. So we're going to follow consistently, and the reason I suggest doing a 10 by 10 is because that allows you to warm up the prospect. And when I say warm up the prospect, it means you are starting to build more rapport. You're building a relationship with them. One is going to show that you are a credible person. You're actually going to follow through on what you say, meaning that you call me and you say, hey, Jake, I was great to meet you at the grocery store the other day. You wanted me to reach out to you. If I don't hear from you, then I'll touch base with you again next Monday or whatever the case might be. Something to that effect, and then you actually do it. You actually show up consistently, okay? Because again, most businesses 1 and 5 or more follow-ups, okay? So starting to build that process. Now, when we're following up, I don't feel like you have to do it for calling every single time. What I do recommend is some sort of variety, meaning, like, take me, for instance, I like to text. I like texting people back and forth and stuff. Hey, I got a question. Hey, do you want to hang out? That kind of thing. I like texting people. I don't call people a lot unless the text would be super, super long. Okay, and I have this information I need to give you. Here's a bunch of it. Here it is. Okay, bye. I also prefer to be in person, do those kind of things. Now, I also want you guys to think about this too. Like, how do you like to be connected with? Now, when we're prospecting, when we're trying to build rapport with potential clients, we want to try to hit every note if we can. Meaning that you might meet a guy and he likes calls. So you call him and you guys connect. Now you might again meet a guy like me who prefers texts. So you send him a text and you connect that way. Another guy might like emails. Another guy might prefer meeting for coffee, that kind of a thing. So you want to try to do a variety of different things, but again, show up consistently for it. So in your 10 by 10, meaning that again, you meet somebody out at the grocery store, the following Monday, you put them on your 10 by 10 plan, and here's what it could look like. Here's what it could look like, okay? So that first week, you call them, and again, you're going to come from value, saying, hey, it was really great to meet you. I would love to meet for coffee, see if this makes sense, that kind of a thing. So the next 2 weeks after that, assuming you don't connect with them and set up that coffee, for example, maybe you email them. The following week, you do another call. The next 2 weeks, you do a text. Now, the 7th week, I really like this.